Now we figured out how to rule the world. Let us see how we can tell, how we can understand the relationships. If you already know that, it will be easy, pretty easy for you to understand. Now I did a little image that kind of explains it. We have users table, we have countries table. If you check our database right here, you will understand that we have users and we have countries, and they have relationships in which every user belongs to a country. If I check if I click on browse and see the columns on the user, you have state ID. Users need to belong to a state, which is a state ID. They need to belong to a local government. They need to belong to a country. You understand? So we're working out the country right now. So what it will involve is simply we have to tell the user's model that it belongs to a country. So if we go to user, the model, we need to tell a user that you belong to a country. So every user belongs to a role. This has been set default for you by raw PHP. Remember, if you want to read up about relationships, you should go to laravel eloquent ORM, and then you hit on the relationships. All right, there we are. Hit on relationships. It will teach you a lot about what I'm going to do right now. So, but for now, let's just assume that you already understand what I'm doing. So just see what I'm doing so you can adjust yours. All right. So from here, this is where we need to tell users that it belongs to a country. Now, so how does it work? If you come here, you see that this is a sample users table that we have, and these are the columns. We have ID, we have first name, last name, email, and a whole lot of things. Among that, we have country ID. Now, this makes reference to a countries table and the ID field, okay? ID column, okay? So we have countries table of the ID column. So this is how you make reference. And remember that here it is singular, country, and here it is plural. The name of the table is plural, but the foreign key is usually the singular concatenated with the ID, all right? So automatically, if you have this name correctly this way, Laravel or Cake PHP will automatically know that you're making reference to this table. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is we have Dave. So what this means is that every user depends, the user table depends on the country, on the countries table, you understand? So that is what it means. So the table with the foreign key, this is a foreign key, and here ID is a primary key. Here it is a foreign key because it is foreign to the user's table. Now any table that has a foreign key is depending on the table that owns the foreign key. You understand? So this user's table depends on a country, which means a user must, or any user should have a country, okay? Then it also means that the user belongs to a country. So every user gets to belong to a country because the foreign key of the country is inside the user's table. So this is the word we are looking for. I just wanted us to arrive at it. That's why I used the pens. But then it also implies another thing, that a country can have many users. You understand? But with this arrangement, a user cannot belong to many countries. So currently, the arrangement of our database is that a country can have many users. So this is what it means. Dave can belong to Nigeria, Cherry, Cynthia, and so on and so forth. Can all be Nigerians, okay? All of them can use a country ID. So this is what it means. We need to tell our model that this relationship exists so that it will cater for it automatically whenever we're making a database query. So we have to just copy this, copy and paste. Every user belongs to a country. And this kind of solves our problem where we just call it country. Okay, so we can say app models country. You know why this works? Because we already have a model called country. If you don't have a model called country, this will not work. So automatically, every user belongs to a country. But then, this doesn't solve our problem, which means, what this simply means is that from the users table, we can get the country name. But then, what we are trying to solve is that from the countries table, we need to get the list of users. So we can say every country has many. You understand? Every country has many users. So we can call this is a country model, and we can call this user. we can say every country has many users. So since it has to do with many users, you understand, these are just minor naming conventions to make it easy for you and your team to be on the same page. So here we have every country, every user belongs to one country, so that is why it's singular here. On the countries, every country has many users. So here we're just going to change this to has many users. All right, and then we're going to look at the user table because we are in app models. We have a model called user. All right, so now we've sorted this out automatically because we name things properly. It will work out for us very well. All right, so you can always read more about this. If different from countries. Okay, good. We are good to go. So which means in our model, in our controller, we have a country controller. So this fetches all the countries. So this means if we come here in our views method and we do a var dump, we'll discover that something is already available for us, all the list of users. So from here, we found all the countries, but then from our country model, we also told it to find all the users that belong to this country. So from here, if we do a var dump on country users method, so all the list of users that belong to this country is available here. Country, all right. Supposed to be 1 year, okay. So all the list of users that are in this country are available here. So because we named the particular method in our model country. So if you come here and name it as list of users. That means the method's name in our controller should be list of users this way. So whatever you name it in your model is what is going to be in the controller. All right. So let's just do a quick var dump. We're going to see a mumble data that, but then inside it we'll see list of users. We can just look closely. So if we go back to our view and we refresh, we're going to see a var dump of what we're looking for. See the var dump of everything inside users. But then if we just do a Control F and search for a user, oops. So basically it is here, but then we have to clean this up. Let me show you how well we can achieve that. First of all, we need to make sure that a user belongs to this country. We've not added a user to this country, so we'll head over to our database and add at least one user to Nigeria. Remember, Nigeria is country ID of 161. I know because I can look at this place and see that it's country ID of 161. So what I can do is quickly head over to my database, and then in the users table, we can see that the country ID is empty for both of them. So I'm just going to make 161, and then at least I've added one user, and the user's name is John. I've added John to the country Nigeria. So that doesn't solve all our problem, because if we come here and refresh, let's delete the var dump. Okay, if we go to this place and delete this var dump and refresh, just have a clean page. So our page is clean now. We still don't see John, so we need to go to the view and tell it to display John. All right. So if we get to the view, if we go to our resources, views, countries, and in the view.twig, this is the title where we have country name - country code. As you can see here, country name - country code. So somewhere underneath, we'll list of users that belongs to this country. So in the panel body, I'm just gonna do a H2 tag or whatever, just to say list of users from. I'll now put the country name from Nigeria. All right, and I'll just close the H2 tag, and then underneath I'll put the list. So first of all, let's do a UL on that list. This is basic HTML, so I'm just trying to create a list in HTML. Inside it, I'll have an li that is basically a list. Okay. So now I need to, you remember that it's a for loop, it's a loop. That's a list of users, so we need to create a loop around it. So what we have to do is to use raw PHP uses twig, so we use the twig template to create a for. So we can say that for, let's just call each person a user in country dot users. So this is the same thing as when we said in the controller. I remember in the controller we had a country variable that we passed into this, and then we were able to do something like this where we had country dash users. All right, so since we passed this variable to the view and as country, we also have these users inside it available to us from the view. So if we get back to our view, we can say country.users. All right, so we're now saying go through each country.users and assign user variable into it. That's basic for loop. All right, and then we're going to end the for. We're going to do something like this to end the for loop. You can just say end for. This is basic twig templating. All right, and if you ever have any issues with twig, you can always go to Google and say twig documentation. Just twig documentation. Then so you can read up more about twig. It's just like Blade, Laravel Blade, or Cake PHP CTP. So if you just click on it, you'll read a lot about twig. All right, so back to our code. We're trying to let me just show you. This is the twig documentation. It can always show you how to do very little cool stuff, very nice cool stuff. Okay, and of course you have other links to click on. So back to our code, we're trying to get a list of users. We're saying, okay, loop through countries users, all the users there, and display it to us. So what we're going to do is we're going to just say first name. No need to say first name. We can just put a href. Okay, and so I'm using a href because I would like to make it a link. But before then, let us now list the user's name. So we can say exactly, since we use the user variable here, we can just say user dot first name. We know we are using first name because in our database right here we have a first name field. So we can now say user dot first name, last name, any of the fields here. So I'm just going to use first name and last name for this. So user dot first name, and then I'm going to give a space and say user dot last name, user dot last name, and then we're good to go. Finally, we're going to put the link. So we're going to say path for, and then we're going to do what the path is. It's users dot view, and then we're trying to view a specific user. So we put this. Oops, that's a little mistake. It's supposed to be path for users.view, and I'll explain what I'm trying to do now. But basically, I'm trying to create a link to ID of a user, and then basically we are looking at user.id. So here, user.id. We're trying to create a link to the user's profile too. Alright, so what we have here is a href. This is how to create link in raw PHP on the. So this link is basically pointing to somewhere in our routes that has users.view. So if we go to our route file and we'll look for users, so we have users.view/id. So that's what we're trying to create. So this is the link we're calling right now, the path for. So if we go to the view, we're saying path for users.view. So then we're going to put a slash. This is supposed to be a slash. That's why it's a comma. The ID. Remember that our route file, this users.view expects an ID. So that's what we have here. And then we're passing in the ID. And then the value of the ID is what we have here, user.id, just like we have user.name here. So this pretty much works well for us. Okay, raw PHP comes with other links that you can just look at and see how it's done. So with this now, we are pretty much sure that it will list the list of users in our database. So if we go back to our website, here we should see list of users here. If we refresh, we'll see list of users from Nigeria. We'll see one user at John Doe admin. So this is how to create the relationship in raw PHP, and I hope you understand it. If you have any questions, just drop it below. In the next video, we'll now see how we can do this in an automated way. Thank you very much. See you.